Welcome back to Max Easy Lessons once more. If you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping in. If you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer to the channel, thank you so much for coming back. This one is bird shooting season, and I keep reminding you that it may not be everything that you need to know, but it is an attempt to give you a better understanding of the poem. So let's get straight into it. Bird shooting season. Okay, so there is the title of the poem, and that's the first thing we're going to look at. And the title suggests that men are going out, people are going out to shoot birds, and it's a season for this. And of course, we all know that there is a season for shooting birds, and then there is a season for not shooting birds. So, and that's a common thing, yes, very simple, but it is something that some people are not familiar with, yes. Now, the title suggests that there are rituals surrounding this season, the bird shooting season, and the household is impacted as well as the activity of going hunting. Women are seen as the domesticated gender here. In other words, they are seen as the ones who are expected to take care of the food, take care of the household, take care of the children, who stand by and watch while the men go out and do their macho thing, their manly thing of shooting birds to take back home. Now, all of this is a part of a culture, and it is an occurrence. It occurs more than once, yes. And so the narrator, who appears to be a child, is reflecting on all of these events that are happening. Of course, there are different thoughts going through the child's mind at this point, wanting to share with the readers the excitement that he or she is feeling as he or she watches the whole preparation for the bird shooting season. Stanza 1, and we're going to just take a brief look at stanza 1. The poem starts by saying, men make marriages with their guns. Men use these guns to hunt, yes, and shoot birds. This line suggests that there is a relationship between the men and the guns. They take their guns personally. It's as if their guns are a part of their lives. And in some ways, one may suggest that that in the poem, the guns are replacing the women. Now, more and more men will gather because this is the highlight of the bird shooting season. This is the highlight of the society in which they live. The men will go out. It's a big thing. You go out, you shoot the birds, you come back in. It's a manly thing. And because men were expected at the time that the poem was written to be the stronger gender, to be the one that provides for the family, then it was a real important event for them, for these men to go out, to shoot the birds, and to come back in. In other words, what the poet is suggesting, and what is being suggested, by the poem here, is that men are the strong primal hunters. And this is what is different between the men and the women in the poem, because the women do not go out to hunt. And we all know that hunting is a thing that can be quite deadly. It can require a lot of skills. And what is suggested in the poem then is that the women are not that strong. I mean, there is no indication to say that the women have tried and failed, but what the persona is attempting to say to us here is that this is what is expected in their society. Women stay home and the men are expected to go out, hunt, shoot birds at this point in time, and come back home, while the women are expected, of course, to take care of the household, to take care of the food, and to take care of the more basic needs that are required for each person. Now, stanza 2 goes into more details of the role of women in the society. Now, it transitions into what the woman is expected to do. And this is in contrast to what the men are doing. Now, we all realize that the men are going out shooting and the women are inside and they are being more domestic. And in this case, domestic means that they are showing that women stay home and do womanly duties, which would include cooking, taking care of the home, taking care of the children. Again, I said that before and I'm saying it again. That is what the domesticated tasks were. No, there is this big difference here between the men and the women and the roles that they play. And the persona says, all night contentless women stir their brews. The word contentless here could mean, for one, that the women are docile, they're accepting and they're obedient to the tasks that they know that they have to do. And these tasks would include, again, the cooking. And they're contented with accepting that their role is to stay inside, stay at home then, do what they're expected to do while the men go out to kill, And it could also mean, contentless could also mean that the women are dissatisfied with the role of having to cook for tomorrow's sport, while of course the men do what is expected of them as being manly and go out and drink hard white rum and enjoy themselves. Of course, the women would not be privy to that kind of excitement that is happening before the shooting begins. And so the women in the poem here are shown as women who carry out the traditional domestic task, not something that is probably common in the modern society, but it was common when the poem was written, and so this is what the persona attempts to bring to the forefront. In stanza 3, now this stanza is very short, and it tells us that there is some amount, it tells us that there is some amount of suspense. There is a quickness. And it also emphasizes, it stresses the motions and the movements that are taking place. The persona says, in darkness, shouldering their packs, their gun, they leave. Now, this leaving for the reader is one where you're going to think about what is coming next. And the shortness of that stanza allows you to pause and to reflect or to think ahead of what is coming next. In stanza 4, it continues with the feeling of suspense and again shows the contrast between the females and the male and the role that each person, each gender is expected to play in the society. We can see in this stanza the role of the boys and girls are already shaped. The little boys are longing to grow up and become bird shooters as well, and this is what the persona says. And of course, we realize that this is a tradition. And so boys are expected to carry on the traditions while girls, they whisper to themselves, fly birds fly. It shows the emotional state of women as well. And in many ways, one may say that this is why women were not expected to go bird shooting, because here the little girls whispering fly birds fly, it's an emotion that is associated with women, females, sorry, the whole feeling of sympathy, empathy, the softness that they feel towards killing. And so the little girls are begging the birds to fly away so that the men will not shoot them. Each letter in each word is capitalized for a reason. It places emphasis on the words fly, bird, fly. It means then that the birds will need to get away. This leaves the reader wondering, and of course you're left in suspense and speculation as to what is going to happen in the hunting season, during this bird shooting season. Are the birds going to get away, or are the men going to live up to the expectations and shoot those birds? Now we go on to the figurative devices, and that was just looking at each stanza to get you a better understanding of it. And at the end of the poem also you will see a copy of bird shooting season, so you can read it from here. The figurative devices that we find in the poem are metaphors, imagery, contrast. An example of metaphor is men make marriages of their guns to their guns. Here we are understanding that one cannot be married to a gun, and so it's the metaphor here, not literally a marriage, but it shows the closeness that the man has with his gun. And the relation of the men with their gun also shows you how seriously they take this bird shooting season. And you do need the gun to shoot, and so you have to build a bond with your weapon of choice that you are going there to use. An example of imagery is that in darkness, shouldering their packs, their guns, they leave. And we can just take this whole scene in. We definitely can see this whole scene. It's a visual imagery that is used here. The men are cloaked in the darkness, meaning that it's pitch black outside, and they're going out with their guns in their hands and their sacks on their back with their food and whatever it is that they need to go hunting. The other imagery is we stand quietly on the doorstep shivering. Again, this is another visual imagery where we can see that the young children are waiting in anticipation of what is to come. They are looking at the men going out, and they have mixed emotions going on here, and they're shivering for different reasons. Perhaps, as the girls would say, fly bird fly. They are shivering with the anticipation that the birds will live. And of course, the boys have that anticipation that the men will live up to their expectations and become successful in their whole hunting. Now, possible themes in the poem would be gender role, children's curiosity, childhood experiences, and nature. And I think these are quite clear-cut. Gender roles, the differences between men and women. The women function as the domestic gender and the men as the stronger gender going out to hunt. The children's curiosity, of course, they want to know the outcome of what is going to happen from this bird shooting season. Again, childhood experiences, children are running around playing, watching as the men prepare to go bird shooting, and watching the roles of the woman versus the man, woman staying home, man going out to hunt. Nature, of course, is that of the birds. It's the season, it's a cycle, everything changes as time changes. Within a year, there are different seasons for different reasons, and so this is one of the themes. And finally, just a quick here. The persona, of course, is a first person persona. It's a child. The tone that is used in the poem is one of reflection, where it's reflective tone, reflection. Yes, the child is looking back on an experience that he or she had as a child. The mood, of course, comes out as being calm and somber. So thank you so much for watching, and I do hope this helped. Again, you will probably need to do more reading to add information to this. Don't forget to check out a copy of the poem, and thank you so much for watching.